It's time. It's episode 83 of the ATM podcast. Every Tuesday, Mark Watson joins me. Commentates sport all around the world. All sport, you name it, he can call it. We're going to talk about the Phoenix, the Warriors, afternoon rugby, your Blues, maybe Sam Cane and the Ferns if we get a little bit of time.
Apologise to me!
Let's kick it with the Phoenix, mate. This is the biggest single game of football in this country since Norway last year when the Football Ferns kicked off the World Cup. But certainly in terms of club football, you'd have to go back well over a decade for when Ricky Herbert was in charge of the Knicks and they packed out Wellington.
Yeah, I look at it in sport in this country, and all these sports need this sort of these runs from these teams, and we all want a bit of nationalism. We all want something that we can sort of buy into. You know, the sport starts the season with a small niche group of fans, and by the end of it, sort of the country's bought into it. You know, New Zealand has a history of it. I mean, I vividly remember the 1981-82 All Whites campaign. I was at Oiraka Primary School. It made me want to switch. It made me want to play football. To a lesser degree, I think what the All Whites achieved in 2009. In terms of getting through to South Africa. And as you mentioned, last year we saw it with the Women's World Cup. And so, you know, this for the fans who are hardcore and for the sport in this country, because I know how many boys and girls do play football and it is a pathway through to professionalism, the Phoenix, I really do want to see them try and go on and win this final, or certainly make the final, so that the whole country is glued in and football does get that, does get its shop window and does give, provide, it does get the opportunity to present itself again to the wider public and just remind everybody why it is such a special sport. But I've got to say, Martin, I tuned in and I'm there for the reasons I just mentioned too, for sense of nationalism. But I tell you what, the standard of football in the A-League is just bloody awful. Boy, it was a hard watch, Martin. And I'm just so used to watching the Premier League. I'm just so used to watching Liverpool Football Club and my club. And people go, you've got to stop comparing. I said, but that's all I've got to compare to. And yeah, the standard of football it's just dreadful. It really is.
I think we've got to cut ourselves some slack here. Look, I mean, this is like, for example, if you're born in Romania, and Romania do play rugby, and you're sitting there watching Romania club rugby on the weekends, and then all of a sudden somebody puts up Super Rugby or puts up, the English Premiership or puts up Test match rugby, you're going to look at that and go, wow, that's how it should be played. And this is the reality of it. The A-League is at the very bottom of the world professional leagues. This is not a powerhouse league, and it never has been. It's a bit of a stepping stone for some players, and a good manager can get out of there, like Ange Postecoglou has. But yeah, you've got to adjust around that. And this is, to me, it's like watching the local basketball, which, I like watching it, but, it's not the NBA. And so you have to adjust on the fly to this, don't you? And you have to find a reason to watch. And we're finding a reason to watch because it's the Phoenix. If the Phoenix weren't playing in those semi-finals, I wouldn't be watching it. It's as simple as that.
No. The reason I'm watching it is because we're in the semi-finals, we're in the playoffs. You will not get me watching the regular season. I just can't do it, Martin. I just can't. I don't have the time. It's not a high enough standard for me. Watching that game, I mean, I don't think we had a single shot on goal. That's the second time this season we've played the Melbourne Victory over there, and we haven't had a shot on goal. Now, listening to the commentators, that when we did beat the Melbourne Victory away, it came through an own goal. We just basically parked the bus at the back. We just, the moment they sort of pressed high on us defensively, we just had nowhere to go. We just seem aimless. We just don't seem to have the ability to play the ball out from the back and be able to play the ball forward and find the gaps and have players running onto it. But again, I was there because I want this club to do well. I want a feel-good story in a couple of weeks. No difference in sitting down and, watching the Warriors in the grand finals back in the day as well. So, yeah, really want to see them well. But yeah, I'm having to make the shift mentally to just go, okay, the football is crap, but watch it for what it is. Watch it for Phoenix.
Be honest
watch
about
it for
that.
Nationalism.
That's exactly what it is.
Apologise to me!
Well, the Warriors, I mean, that's a hard look at the moment as well, mate, isn't it? 15 minutes, 22 points against the Roosters is as bad as it has been. That was like watching the Warriors from 2022 when we only won 6 games. It was, like a throwback to then. And I just didn't think this team had it in them to be that bad. The one good thing about it is that team under Stacey Jones would have been flogged by 60. This team fought back at least. But, that's the only sliver of light you can take from that performance.
Yeah, but did they fight back? I mean, you're up 22-0 at half.
Oh, no, the Roosters took the foot off, mate. Of course they did, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's suddenly going, oh, but look, next game, we've got the Penrith Panthers, and we're going to have no Nathan Cleary. It's like, mate, we lost to the Titans at home who hadn't won a game. The Panthers are going to come out. They are going to kill us. There's no turning around for this team. I think they are well and truly dead and buried. I mean, if the message hasn't got through by now, I just can't see it getting through for the next few games. It's
well, we're not good enough, Mark. It's as simple as that. A lot of
we're not.
And
why aren't we good enough?
We don't have a squad
Why can't players tackle, Martin?
Well, okay, those are the most fundamental errors, and I think that look, we've got to put a couple of things in perspective here. Last year, you had guys that were playing the best they've ever played. This year, those same players aren't playing back to that level. Now, that's down to them. You can ask a million questions about it. Why? Is it the training? No, they're fit enough. Is it the headspace? Who knows? Only they can answer that. In terms of squad playing strength, it's like if you go through Man City squads and you compare Fulham squads and you can say, oh no, Fulham have got a chance. No, they don't have a chance. Their players aren't good enough. They don't have a Kevin De Bruyne. And that's as simple as it is. The Warriors players, how many of those Warriors players, honestly, are Melbourne or the Sharks or Penrith picking and saying, that guy's in my playing 13 today? How many of them?
Yeah, but Martin, the scary thing is, I actually think if you took a lot of these players for some reason and did put them in those environments, I think you'd get the consistency out of them we saw from last year. I just wonder whether Andrew Webster just needs to actually stop being a friend to the players and actually just start coaching them, start being a little bit more ruthless here.
Dropping some guys?
He just continues to sort of run the same guys out there every week. I know, look, injury took Roger Tuivasa-Sheck out, but if he hadn't been, he still would have been playing in the centres. Play this guy at fullback. Start taking some risks on some of these selections. Start dropping some players. It's like you're Manchester United. I mean, as you say, you can keep blaming the coaches all you want, and then you go, well, hang on, look at the playing group we've got here. These players have let every single coach down, and they're still on the side. I hate to say it, but it's starting to look a little bit like Sean Johnson of old too, out injured, of course. Not actually that concerned. I don't really think we're going to miss him. I just don't think he's offered anything. But why can't these guys? What are they minimum on all of these guys? $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, and yet they can't make a damn tackle. They can't get themselves organised for 80 minutes. They can't go out there and give it 100%. They can't be what they were for last year. And all the excuses that get made for them. I mean, these guys are making an absolute fortune comparative to what other people make at the same age in other aspects of society, people who probably do far more important jobs in terms of the impact they have on society day to day. And yet these guys just can't get the basic fundamentals right. It's so damn incredibly frustrating.
It is frustrating.
And I still think they're getting a bit of a free ride in the media here. And everyone's saying, oh, you guys are being a bit harsh. I see Howard Dobson puts up some stuff and he's copping flack because he's showing the statistics of this team, and you're not allowed to bag them. There is that,
mate. But that's because most of the media is actually fanboy media, and so I still look at it and think our job is to critically analyse the performance, and the performance has been poor, and it has been poor for weeks.
Apologise to me!